All right, YouTube, middle-aged white guy reacts, coming back with another Tom MacDonald. Today we are doing American Dreams. We just finished Castles. That was yesterday. We'll do this one today, and at that point, we are ready to go in just chronological order from that point on. I missed Castles and this one based on what I've already done. Um, so after this house, I believe, was Exposure. So after this one, we'll jump on Exposure and just keep rolling right on down the line after that. So, without further ado, let's get into this one. After Castles, I am afraid of what's going to happen when I hit this play button, though. I'm going to be honest here. You don't know what this guy is going to come with.
We're making murderers famous. They kill a bunch of kids and get on all the front pages. I don't know none of the victims. I know the guns in the system promote the ones who are dangerous.
Okay, that's a heavy line, and I've been saying that for years. You want like this stuff to stop. You don't want these copycat shootings and stuff like that. Stop taking the perpetrators of these crimes, plastering their face all over the news with their name in neon lights. You know, there's no more motivation at that point to, not that there's no more motivation, but there's less motivation to go out and do stuff like that if no one's going to know who you are afterwards. I mean, think of the feeling of power that these psychopaths get, knowing that they're going to do something horrible. They may die, whatever, they may not, but at the end of the day, they're going down in history. Their name is going to be remembered. So people who may have felt like society has shunned them or hasn't noticed them or whatever, this is a big way of grabbing attention. And our media is more than happy to take this person and make sure everybody knows who they are. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's such an easy fix. You know, stop glorifying these shooters. And I'm not saying they go away. You know, people are people and they have their own motivations for things and they're going to do stuff no matter what. But if you stop glorifying it, you might be able to stop one, two, three of them. So, all I'm saying. He gets right into it, though. He doesn't, there's no filler bar in this. He just gets right into it.
It's become entertainment. We got t-shirts and posters covered in murderers' faces. We got movies getting made portraying killers as saviors and parents leaving kids alone at home with guns in the basement.
All right, so he is. I'm wondering where he's going to go with this because, leaving your kids at home with guns in the basement. So, full disclosure, I am a very big believer in the Constitution of the United States. Everything about it. Okay. If you are a person who owns guns and you have children, it is your responsibility to lock them up and to make sure your children don't have access to them and to make sure your children know about firearm safety. Um, I grew up in a different time, though. It's not like, my buddy, his grandfather had reloading stations in his house, and there was just shell casings and powder and like stuff everywhere. You'd go in there, and there'd be handguns just and shotguns, just random, just like you took your keys out of your pocket to throw them on a kitchen table when you came home from work. So back then, we never would even dream about touching any of them. We never played with them. We never messed with them. We respected them. We knew what they were, and we respected them. And we never messed around with it. Nowadays, though, I mean, especially with the mental health issues going on and the things that are going on in this world, you need to make sure that your kids don't have free and easy access to them. And not for the fact that you can't trust your kid and you think they're going to go shoot something up, but you don't know. Kids are kids. You could grab one to play with it one day and you think you're cool and you might not know it's loaded. And, you know, so lock your guns up. With that said, I'm nervous now about where he's going with this because I may not be able to agree with this man here. Not that I have to, or I, you know, but he's touching on a very hot button issue, a very hot button issue here.
Kids alone at home with guns in the basement. Would you pull me from a burning car, run to get your phone so you can feel me yelling world star?
Yep.
A gun don't make a
Yep. Oh, no one's pulling you out of a burning car. No one's pulling you out of a burning car. Nope. They'll be standing there with their iPhones. You know it. Look at I won't get into that story. I was going to say, I mean, we all know what's been happening over the past year, and we've seen the videos of people just videotaping people dying. So I don't really have to get too much into that.
soldier with a purple heart. A gun don't make a soldier with a purple heart. A gun cannot protect us if we don't know where our morals are. Students for the class.
I could agree with that. I could agree with that 100%. America and us as a society, our morals are all over the place, it seems. It seems every day they degrade more, almost. So I get that. And if you don't have a strong moral foundation, a moral center, can you even be trusted to own something as deadly as a firearm? Should you? You know?
A gun cannot protect us if we don't know where our morals are. Students for the classes and the graves, and you claim it's a conspiracy to take your guns away. All the while the family's torn apart and trying to ask why their son deserved to die at his desk in his class. We don't want to.
I get that point, but you know, let me hear how he said that again before I go running my mouth.
All the while the family's claim it's a conspiracy to take your guns away. For the classes and the graves, and you claim it's a conspiracy to take your guns away.
One more time.
It's a conspiracy to take your.
Get to the beginning of that.
Students for the classes and the graves, and you claim it's a conspiracy to take your guns away.
Okay. Students in the classes filling graves, and you think that it's a conspiracy for them to take your guns away. A couple of years ago, I would say, preach it, Tom. Tell them how foolish they are. I don't know anymore. I don't know. We live in such a upside down world at this point. I don't even know what's left, right, up, down, or center. So.
All the while the family's torn apart and trying to ask why their son deserved to die at his desk in his class. We don't want a politician making money off the bullet.
Yep. And you know what? That is another. Both sides do it. As soon as there's a tragedy, both sides are out there pushing their agendas. The bodies are still warm, for Christ's sake. Yeah. And they do it. As soon as something happens, don't let that opportunity go to waste. We need to get out there because we could jam through, you know, this legislation or that one. It's disgusting. And like both sides are guilty of that. And not just in shooting situations, any tragedy, anything. They try to strike when emotion is still clouding your decision making. And emotional decisions very rarely end up as good ones. So they jump out there when everyone's still raw and reeling from whatever the tragedy was. And they're, you know, pushing agendas, taking donations, doing fundraising. It's disgusting. Politicians are fucking disgusting to begin with. Left, right, and center. There's very few. And I pay attention. I'm not just like blind and go about my business. I know what's going on. And there's very few good ones, very few that I would trust at all. I mean, out of the 400 whatever Congress people, there's what, four, five, six of them that are halfway decent moral people.
Making money off the bullet holes. They're digging our grave, the home of the brave has gone up in flames. Give a about the system. We're not doing what we're told. The land of the free is armed to the teeth. American dreams.
We are armed to the teeth. It's important that we are, though. It is. It is absolutely necessary that we are. At least that's what I don't. I don't want to get super political in this. I don't want. Politics is nothing but division, and I have my political beliefs. I lean that way a little bit. So I don't want to alienate people from watching my content, because that's all you end up accomplishing when you get political. But America is armed to the teeth, and as far as I'm concerned, it's absolutely necessary. Now, you know what? There's just no good way to talk about that without really taking hard stances one way or the other. So we're going to leave that.
We're distracted by free porn and compilation videos of puppies and kittens.
Yeah.
While our children use the internet to bully one another and then purchase ammunition.
The bully one another, that to me is the more important. I don't think kids buying ammunition online is really a epidemic, but bullying, absolutely. It happens all the time. You have on the social media, on Discord. It can be hard, and I have a 9-year-old son, and he's not into like social media, but he plays games, and they're online, and you get in the little Discord server, and you guys talk to each other, or he'll be like on the PlayStation and chatting, and even like the little chats, like these kids get very lippy with each other. It's easy to, because there's not a physical person there that's going to smack you in the mouth for talking reckless. So, I mean, that's the difference between the internet and real life, right? So these kids are nasty to each other, starting at very young ages. And it's, I've had to explain to them, the internet's not real, man. It's not. I mean, there's real people on the other end there, but people don't treat each other on the internet like they would in real life. There's no, like I explained to him, he has friends across the street. I'm like, the boys across the street, they're going to be nice to you. They're going to be cordial to you. If you guys fight, you'll work it out because you have to, because you're neighbors and you see each other all the time. If you rub somebody the wrong way on the internet, even if they were your friend, they could just, it's easy to walk away. There's nothing invested. It's just easy to rip that person and walk away because they're just a username. They're just a handle. And it's hard for him to understand that. And I've had to have constant reminders, and he'll get upset when like somebody doesn't want to play a game with him. And it's like, the kids bullying each other on the internet is rough. It's a rough one. I'm glad I don't have to grow up in this day and age.
Just ammunition. So addicted to your phone that you ignore the kids and never give them any supervision. So they learn to build a bomb of things you keep inside your kitchen, and you wonder how they ended up with life inside a prison.
And we've seen it. And I mentioned yesterday, we walk around like this. If you're doing this and you're giving your kids one of these or an iPad all day, and like, here, you just entertain yourself. I'm going to entertain myself over here. You don't know what they're doing. You're not going to recognize when they're going through something or when they need your guidance because you're too absorbed in the palm of your hand. So you'll miss all sorts of signs, and that's what happens. This style of this, I meant to say this earlier, so it was kind of, but he just got right into it and just didn't even give me a chance to think. The style is more of like a spoken word. Um, I notice he's done those. I feel like this is kind of like that. It's not 100% my thing. I'm I'm enjoying breaking down the message of this one, but this song is not my cup of tea. I'm sorry, it's just not. Not that it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad, but just stylistically, this is not something that I would normally listen to.
We mourn a dead gorilla, but don't care when it's a person. We're forgetting
That gorilla, Harambe. I'm assuming that's the gorilla he's talking about, right? You guys know Harambe? If you don't, go look up the story and then go look up the Harambe song. I'm not going to say it here. It's hilarious. So I mean, you got to know it by now, and if you don't, you're missing out. So go check that out.
gorilla, but don't care when it's a person. We're forgetting that we're human. We're angry to chickens of being locked up in cages, and then forget we do the same to kids in our institutions. When they ask you about stupid, you tell them they should Google it, then wonder why the trouble.
Now, I'm not sure exactly what he's referencing there. If he's referencing, I don't know when this came out. If he was referencing border situations, or if he's referencing like the penal system that we set up for our kids, or if he's referencing how our school system works. That's an interesting line, though. No matter which way you can take that, you worry about these chickens in cages, but that's our kids. This is what we do to our kids in all of our institutions. Or if he's just saying across the whole board, we're constantly, putting them in cages of one kind or another. I don't know. That's thought provoking right there.
They should Google it and wonder why the troubled youth are homicidal lunatics. You think it's tragic when a shooter kills a student, but then say it's all a plan for them to change the Constitution. We don't want to.
You see, like I said, a couple of years ago, I'd be like, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right with that. But how, I don't know anymore. I don't know. There's too many things have happened in the past year or so that I didn't think would happen in America. I don't think we'd see in my lifetime. And it's strange times right now. Absolutely strange times.
To change the Constitution. We don't want a politician making money off the bullet holes. They're digging our grave, the home of the brave that's gone up in flames. Give a about the system. We're not doing what we're told. The land of the free is armed to the teeth. American dreams.
Like I said, that's I feel like he's really riding the middle quite well in this song, because when he first started talking about this, I thought I was going to disagree a lot with him through this whole song. And I do. I disagree about some things, but the way he's going about talking about this subject, and it's obviously gun control, but he has not mentioned gun control one time. So he's very skillfully threading this needle right down the middle of pro-gun and anti-gun, and it's ballsy to try to do this, even though like this subject isn't controversial. This is not a controversial song per se, like some of his other ones. He could have really screwed this up very bad, and like I said, alienated one half of his potential audience. But he is going right down the center of this, and it's like I said, that's a tough needle to thread there. So I want to not agree with him. Seriously, I do. I want to not agree with him. I'm not going to come out and say it. I'm a firearm owner. I'm a gun owner. All right. I keep them locked away. My kids can't get it. You need fingerprints to get into my safes. So But I can't disagree too much with what he's saying here.
American dreams. Yesterday will be the same as tomorrow if we don't wake up today.
That's that. Yesterday will be the same tomorrow if we don't wake up today. That's the truth. It's the truth, 100%. If you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it. You're going to make the same mistakes over and over, or you won't see your path to whatever your goals are, your salvation, your whatever you're shooting for there. No pun intended there with the shooting there.
The land of the free is armed to the teeth. American dreams.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Like I said, he threaded a tough needle there. That's impressive. That he was able to stick, especially because he's had. We'll let it roll. Because he's had very decisive viewpoints one way or the other. He hasn't shied away and tried to like tiptoe. And I'm not saying that's what he did in this song. That's absolutely not what I'm saying he did in this song. But just that he was able to straddle both sides of the fence. When, like I said, when he started talking about this, I kind of got nervous. It's like, I'm going to piss some people off because if he says something crazy, I'm going off. He didn't though. I mean, this song is not my style. That more spoken wordy type of song, that wasn't 100% my style. I can appreciate the message in it. And as a gun owner, I don't think there's much in there that you can argue with. And as somebody who didn't like guns, I don't think you'd be able to argue with much there. So he's I guess he's another message where he can kind of bring both sides together, and everybody has a little bit to agree with, and it kind of some common ground for us to stand on, so that maybe we could start a dialogue. Because there's one to be had about firearms in America. There is, but when it comes to it, one side just shuts down, and the other one wants to get rid of them completely. You're just doing this. It's never going to get anywhere. There is a dialogue to be had, but anti-gun people have to realize that they don't understand how firearms work. People who own guns, they understand them. They have an understanding of them that if you haven't owned one, you don't. So if we tell you, like, you could ban that or this or do that, but that doesn't do anything because of X, Y, or Z, maybe trust that we're not just talking out of our ass. We understand things. We understand how things work. So if people would just actually sit down and have a dialogue and be willing to compromise a thing here and a thing there, Honestly, though, as far as I'm concerned, the Second Amendment shall not be infringed, and we'll just leave it at that, though. But, all right, YouTube. Middle-aged white guy reacts out. Peace.